Hello, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to Self-Worth Saturday. So if you are new here, Self-Worth Saturday is a video series that I do where I like to talk about topics related to self-worth, give you some sort of tips, advice from personal experience and that sort of thing. And I like to do an oracle card reading at the end as well as some journal prompts and a weekly challenge. We also like to really have, because my wife Peggy likes to join me for a live chat after this video goes up on YouTube. So Saturday mornings, about a few minutes after this video ends, we will have a live chat related to the topic at hand. So today's topic is going to be blocking positivity. This was the topic that got the most votes for this week in the Supportive Tarot Facebook group. So remember that if you want to weigh in on topics that we are covering, to make sure that you are in that group and can vote on the polls. Sometimes I will also put polls up in the YouTubes on my community discussion tab. That is something I can do now, so I might do that sometimes too. But also, if you have topics you want me to cover, remember you can always drop them in a comment down below, hit me up with an email at tarotwithlisa@gmail.com, or send me a message on Instagram or Facebook. However you can think of to get a hold of me, I would love your suggestions because I want to cover lots and lots of topics about self-worth. And pretty much everything is about self-worth. So with that said, let's jump into talking first about the weekly challenge we had last week. So last week's topic was about, I have to think now and I have to look at my notes. Oh yes, accepting criticism. So last week's challenge was basically to notice if you feel criticized at any point, and when you have those moments, because we all have them, to see if you can notice the difference between constructive criticism and destructive criticism, and to just look for the pearl in that situation. So let me know in the comments down below if you're comfortable, or in the live chat beside or below this video if you're watching while this video premieres on YouTube. How did you do last week? Did you experience any moments of criticism? And if you did, sorry, my throat's trying to go. And if you did, were you able to tell the difference between destructive and constructive? Were you able to sort of consider the source of where it was coming from? How did it feel being more aware or more mindful of your responses in those moments? For me, I think I did so-so. There were definitely moments where I didn't recognize whether it was destructive or constructive and totally got defensive. But then there were other moments where I was like, okay, this is just feedback, and I can just take this in and decide how I want to respond. I don't need to be in a big rush, and that was really helpful. So I hope you guys had a good week with that too. So let's jump into blocking positivity. So let's first talk about what that is. So blocking positivity is a little bit like the close cousin of self-sabotage. So I will cue our video where we talked about self-sabotage in the cards, which is the little info-y box up here. If it doesn't pop up for you, there'll be like a little eye and you can click it and it'll give you the link. But that is a related topic. So here's kind of some things to think about. So the idea that we could block good stuff seems kind of weird. It's like, why would anybody do that? And yet a lot of us do that. A lot of us get in our own way. We're either getting in our own way when it comes to sort of financial success, we're getting in our own way when it comes to happiness, or we're getting in our own way when it comes to love and relationships. And I think that it's more common than we maybe realize. But I do think that good stuff can be scary stuff. Scary stuff sometimes is good stuff. And I think we sometimes don't talk about that piece, right? Like that the good stuff can be just as scary for some of us, sometimes even more scary than the bad stuff. And those of us that have had difficult life experiences, sometimes the bad stuff is actually more familiar and relatable than the good stuff. So this becomes this really interesting swirly mix of confusing stuff to sort through. So it can become a situation where even when good stuff is happening, it can be right in front of us. We just don't even see it because we don't even think it's possible. And with that in mind, let's talk a little bit for a second about the difference between self-sabotage and blocking positivity. So self-sabotage is behavior that moves you backwards on your personal growth path or moves you away from your goals. So you're moving in the wrong direction. It's self-destructive stuff, right? And we talked about that more in that video. Blocking positivity is more like when you stand in your own way so that you can't move forward. So you're not really moving backwards, but you're also not moving yourself forwards. Or maybe you're preventing yourself from moving as far forward as you otherwise could or would. So that's how we're going to define blocking positivity versus self-sabotage. So let's look at the kinds of positivity you might be blocking in your life. So I've mentioned these in the summary bit just a second ago, but abundance and prosperity. This is money. This is when you get in your own way when it comes to financial stability, security, and abundance. Happiness and contentedness. So this is when you get in your own way when it comes to feeling happy and content with your life. And finally, love and romance. This is when you get in your own way when it comes to relationships, relating, and connecting with other people. Why do we do this? Self-worth. Usually a lack of. When we don't feel worthy of good things in our lives, we're going to not recognize them when they happen to us, be uncomfortable with them when they're given to us, and possibly outright avoid those things because we don't think we're worthy or deserving of those things. A good example might be getting an award. It can be really uncomfortable to get an award if you don't think you deserve or have earned that reward. Doesn't make it not flattering, but it can make it uncomfortable. So that's kind of like a tangible way of thinking about blocking positivity. We can be really uncomfortable about accepting gracefully the good things that happen to us, and we can be even more uncomfortable with the idea of inviting those good things into our lives. So self-worth is kind of at the root of it all. If we dig just a little bit deeper, underneath that, into like the deeper roots of the situation, we're going to probably find fear. Now, in my opinion, and it's why I use the mantra I use, I am worthy and I am unafraid, self-worth and fear are both root causes of most of the things we struggle with in our day-to-day lives. For me, if there's something that I'm doing that is not moving me forward or is moving me backwards, it's usually because of fear. So why would we be afraid of abundance? We could be afraid of getting what we want and losing it. So this is a big one. Have you ever heard the term waiting for the other shoe to drop? Getting what you want and losing it is, for a lot of us, scarier and worse and more icky feeling than just not getting it in the first place. When it comes to prosperity, it's the mindset of it's better to be comfortable with where you're at than to get used to having more and then lose it. When it comes to happiness, if you relax and really settle in to the wonderfulness around you, what happens when somebody comes and takes it away or something falls apart? When it comes to love, if you allow yourself to take risks in love or to connect with other people, you run the risk of getting hurt and of them leaving you. It could be fear of getting your hopes up only to be disappointed if you don't get the thing that you want. When it comes to prosperity, what if you never get the six-figure income that you're letting yourself dream about, if you let yourself dream about it? With happiness, what if you start to notice everything around you, you're starting to be grateful and mindful, and you're letting that feeling of happiness come in, and then something happens, or you recognize that you're not content after all? With love, what if you let your guard down, and then you still can't find that special someone? Another thing that we can be afraid of is fear of responsibility. Along with getting what you want, a lot of times there is an additional level of work, responsibility, or ownership that we have to take in our lives. So when it comes to money, let's say, what if you reach the financial goals that you want, but then you find that you have to work way, way, way harder? Sometimes we're putting off that financial success because we're afraid of the extra work involved, that we're going to just be workaholics, have to work too much, that sort of thing. When we look at happiness and love, what sort of personal growth work or facing your shadows might you need to face if you actually just let yourself be still and be in the present moment and let yourself enjoy and be happy? Sometimes what happens is that we're like, okay, we think we're going to get there. We think we're going to do action A or action B, get really content, get really happy, start paying attention, be good. And then as soon as things, it's like that Four of Cups moment. It's like we're afraid that means complacency, or that we'll realize we really aren't happy after all. So how do you get out of your own way? How do you flip your what if things go wrong mentality into a what if things go right mentality? Dare to dream. Nothing is promised if you go after what you want, but failure is guaranteed if you don't try. It's kind of like that whole thing of like, you may not know how to build a snowman, but if you never try, you're still not going to have a snowman. So like, you could try and have no snowman or a crummy snowman, or you could not try, or a great snowman. Or you could not try. I don't know why snowman. It's like spring, whatever. It's the analogy that popped in my head. Okay, don't judge me. Or you could not try and you just have a field of snow. Please tell me you followed along with that train of thought. Sorry, I'm talking a lot with my hands. So let's look at prosperity and how you can flip things around. First, stop self-limiting yourself when it comes to what you think financial prosperity looks like. I do this all the frickin' time. So instead of thinking, what if I got a little raise? Or what if we made an extra $1,000 a month? Let yourself dream really big. What happens if you luck into an idea that is $1 million idea? What happens if you win the lottery? Like, let yourself dream and envision what a life could be like with unreal amounts of prosperity. Stop self-limiting your dreams, because dreams are, you can have whatever dream you want. Like, there's no rules on dreams. Nobody can tell you can't imagine or like, what's the word? Manifest or visualize. That's what I was looking for. You can't visualize a life exactly the way you want it. You can do that. Nobody can stop you. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. There's no guarantees, but you can dream. When it comes to happiness, stop self-limiting yourself when it comes to letting yourself enjoy what you have. The grass is not greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it. And can I just have a moment for the camera in the background that is flipping out? We're good. We're good. Let's talk about love. Take a look at your perfect boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband, partner, that bucket list that you have in your head or even on paper. I know some of you out there probably have it on paper of what that perfect partner is going to look like, and throw that shit out the window. Because here's the thing, you should have standards. You should know how you want to be treated and how you deserve to be treated. And you should not let people close to you who don't treat you in a way that makes you feel good. But I also think it's really important that if you get too much of a vision of what you think the perfect person for you looks like, you're going to miss the perfect person for you. Because I'll tell you that most of the people I know who have found their one, they didn't find them where they expected to find them, and they didn't match a bucket list. Most of the time, it's important to kind of pull yourself back and just be open to possibility. It could be somebody that you never expected. And I think it's important to do that. It's kind of like, I wrote a note here. Yes. A lot of times what we do when we get in our own way when it comes to love is we're like, well, I just haven't met the right one yet. But how do you know? What if you met the right one, but you didn't bother to give them a second look? Or what if you met the right one, but because they didn't match up the vision in your head with what you thought your perfect partner was going to look like, you missed it? And the point is, there's no, I think, there is no one person that if you miss them, well, it's all over. Like, you get to keep looking. That's kind of the cool thing. So when it comes to love and relationships, be open to possibility. Be more open than even seems realistic. Let yourself dream. Just like you can dream of the 6-figure or 7-figure income, you can dream of having a partner that makes you feel good. But I will tell you that if you're manifesting your perfect partner, make the manifesting that you're doing, make the visualizing that you're doing, this is going to sound confusing, make it about how that person is going to make you feel. Not what they're going to look like or what they do for a living or what interests you'll have in common. But instead think about, I want a partner that's going to make me feel empowered and like I matter. I want a partner that's going to treat me with respect. I want a partner that's going to light me up and give me butterflies in my stomach. That's the kind of stuff to visualize or manifest. And that can open your world up in ways that you have no idea how amazing it can be. So, love and romance aside for just a moment, let's talk about some journal prompts. So this one is very straightforward. Sorry, this whole topic in general is really straightforward. And I hope I haven't just like hit you with like a whole lot of stuff super fast. But it's really not complicated. It's more about consciously flipping the script in your head from I can't to I can, from I shouldn't to I deserve, from I won't to I will, from here's what's going to happen if to here's what could happen if. There's a lot here about checking yourself and checking the way that you interrupt your own ability to get everything that you're dreaming of because you sell yourself short or you sell the universe short. I do this all the time. I think, well, if I do XYZ, there's just not enough, or somebody else has already done this, or somebody else is doing something similar. And I forget that my voice matters. And also, if I have something that I want to do or accomplish or that I believe in, that I can trust that the universe, the goddess, however you want to look at this, will provide, that things will fall into place exactly as they're meant to. When Peggy and I got together, there were thousands, it felt like, okay, maybe not thousands, but there was a lot of circumstances working against us being able to make it work. There was a lot of tangible stuff that had to get sorted out. There were questions we had that we didn't have answers to. There were pieces that need to fall in place legally and red tape wise and geographically. All of this stuff had to get sorted out, and we just knew. We're just like, you know what? We're all in. Let's make it happen. And we didn't self-limit ourselves. And beautifully and perfectly, like dominoes tipping into one another, those obstacles got knocked out of our way. We didn't have to worry about that stuff. We just kept moving forward with faith, and things just kept moving out of our way. It was unreal. Things that shouldn't have happened as quickly as they did happened quicker. Things that we thought were never going to work just automatically did it. And I still to this day think of that as one of the most empowering experiences of my life, because it was the one time when I was like, I don't care how. This is what we need to do. And we didn't worry about all of those details. I mean, we did. I mean, of course you do. So I don't want to say it like that. We did worry. I worried. I'm a neurotic mess. What am I even saying? But I was able to kind of go, you know what? Somehow it's going to work. Like, let's wait and see. It's not a problem till it's a problem. And that, I'm sorry, I'm like clapping. I'm getting very passionate. But this is the thing, is when I stepped off of the what could go wrong and just stepped into the but what if it goes right space, suddenly things just worked out. And that may sound a little bit fluffy and sunshine and rainbows and all of that kind of thing, but part of it was I wasn't self-limiting. I wasn't looking for problems. And because I wasn't looking for problems weren't finding me. And solutions were easier to spot. I don't think this is necessarily magical stuff, you guys. I think this is more about when you're open to the good stuff, you see the good stuff. And when you're expecting the bad stuff, you kind of invite the bad stuff. And that's not always the way it works, but I definitely think that the more open you are to possibility and the more space you give your life to unfold, the more it will unfold and the more it will expand. So that is my soapboxy rant about blocking positivity. But let's get into a few journal prompts. So, sorry, just a warning. This week's challenge does rely on you doing the journal prompts, so prepare yourself. Journal prompt number 1. Write down one thing you think you might be getting in your way about. Number 2. Make on a separate sheet of paper, a list of what if this doesn't happen, goes wrong, etc. What are all the bad things that could happen? What are the problems? We'll talk about this in the live chat, I think, but stick the boulder at the bottom of the hill, right? Put your boulder at the bottom of the hill. What are all the problems? Look at all the problems. Write them all down. And then make a different list. And in this list, write down all of the possibilities. What would happen and what would things look like if it went right? If you got out of your own way, if everything was perfect, in a perfect world, just dare to dream, what could happen? What could be good? And make your good list. So it's pretty simple. What are you getting in your way about? What are the potential problems? What are the things you're afraid of? What could go wrong? And then what could go right? 3 separate prompts. So here is our challenge. So I've got an oracle deck to shuffle while I give us the challenge. These are the Magical Times Empowerment cards by Jody Bergsma. They come in this really cool, like, lift top box. These are the backings. Make sure they're upright. So here's the challenge. If you want to participate, make sure you've done the journal prompts, as I mentioned. Now, take your what if it all goes wrong list and destroy it. Now, I like to burn things. So, firstly, if you're going to burn things, please make sure you have a fire-safe container and that you practice good fire safety. But I like to burn things. So I would use my cast iron cauldron, and I would do this in an area where there's nothing that could catch fire nearby. But I would recommend ripping up that list of what could go wrong and throwing the pieces in your cauldron and setting it on fire. Now, if you have a fireplace, even better. If fire isn't practical for you or you're not particularly drawn to fire, you can rip it up into teeny pieces and soak it in water until it turns into mush, and then you can bury it. You can dispose of it in any other environmentally responsible way, legal way, that sort of thing. Now, take your list of all the things that could go right, all of your dreaming, all of your imagining of what good stuff could come, what things could you manifest or pull in, what would that look like? Take that and make a vision board. Now, this doesn't have to be a huge, giant poster board. This could be a piece of note paper with little pictures on it, little sayings. You could just sketch, you could doodle, you could write words. You don't have to have any kind of artistic talent, because trust me, I'm not an artist. So anything that you want, but make a vision board for yourself and put it somewhere where you're going to see it. Put it in your planner, paste it to your wall by where you do your tarot card draws. Put it somewhere where you can use it to keep your vision on what it is that you're trying to attract to your life, and all of those beautiful possibilities that exist if you get out of your own way. That's the challenge. Are you with me? All right. So here is this week's oracle card. All right, just gonna pull one of these. This is so great. Sorry, my nose is always itchy when I make videos. Faith. Believe you are not alone. Spirit is right beside you. Ask for guidance and it will come. I can't make this stuff up, you guys. I love this. Isn't that a beautiful image as well? Faith. And if anything can help you move in the direction of your dreams, it's faith. It's worrying about the what. What is it you want? And less about the how. And putting all of your focus in that. All of your focus in the what. And all of your focus in what good stuff could happen if I just allowed this to happen and got out of my own way. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, please leave your comments and thoughts on this topic down below, or you are welcome to bring up discussions in the Facebook group, or anything you want to do with this information. You're always invited to do a VR if that is your thing, to talk about this topic. I'm all for it. Any way you want to explore. And if you happen to be around for our live chat, we are having that in the next few minutes. Join us over on my channel for that. That will be at 10 a.m. Pacific time, unless it gets interrupted or moved or something. And remember, as always, to repeat to yourself as often as possible, I am worthy and I am unafraid. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you all again very soon. Bye!